Okay, today we're going to talk about boys in education. This is part 7. We're going to start taking a little bit of a different tack. You know, before we've talked about just the issues of boys in schools, the funding, and how feminists have seen things a certain way. And we're going to start talking now about the research. All the research. And man, there's a huge amount of research out there. Just huge. As a good man who goes by the name of the anti-gynocentrist, who has helped me pull together just a massive amount of research on boys in schools. And we're going to be going over those. You know, I was thinking about doing this one video on all the research, but it's just too massive. So we're going to break it down. He put it in 13 categories. We're going to break it down into 13 categories, do it one at a time. And this is the first in those. And this one's going to be about recess. But there's so much research out there. It's just mind-blowing how much is out there. And, you know, the thing that's crazy is there's all this research out there, but no one will lift a finger for boys. Just study after study showing how boys are disadvantaged in this way or that way or the other. And no one wants to lift a finger. Not the educators, not the legislators, not the media. Nobody. Why? Why would that be? Only one word comes to my mind. Gynocentrism. Gynocentrism, you bet. Why? Because gynocentrism has programmed us to want to find the problems of women and girls and to seek solutions for those things, right? But it has not programmed us to seek the problems of boys and men and find solutions for those. No, 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 no. It's lopsided. You know, we're looking for ways to solve girls' problems and not boys. And you can see that in spades in the educational system. Just the way the whole thing is set up. It's just quite a mess. You know, all the while, there's all this research and no one lifts a finger. At the same time, what do you hear? You hear the end of men and the future is female and all sorts of things like that. Boys are stupid, throw rocks at them. It's like crazy. We're living in an absolutely insane sort of place. Anyway, today we're going to talk about recess. And the thing that's disappeared. You know, recess has literally disappeared in some ways. It's still out there, but much less than it used to be. Why? Why would recess be taken away? I mean, I used to love recess. Oh my gosh, I'd live for getting out there. I'm sure you did too. You get out there and you could run, play, you could do what you wanted to do for at least a little while. And you come back inside and you feel better, right? All right, well, so why have things been cut back? And I think the first reason is feminism. You know, feminists, of course, as we've seen from all the rest of these videos, is interested in basically turning boys into girls. They're thinking that socialization is the only difference between boys and girls. And the girls don't need to go outside so much. The girls don't need to run as much. They can sit and concentrate. So, you know, why can't we just teach the boys to be more like the girls? Oh boy. Yeah, that, you know, we know now from the research. The children who are helped the most by recess are who? Who do you think it is? The hyperactive children. Think boys. Boys are the ones who are helped the most by recess. And so it's gynocentrism again. It's going down and down and down. It's just not that important to people because it's important to boys. But it's not just the feminists who are doing this. You know, the people out there who are running the schools are having a part of this too. There was someone who was a superintendent of schools in Atlanta, I think. And he said, we're intent on improving academic performance. You don't do that by having kids hanging on the monkey bars. Oh, God. I mean, it's that kind of attitude along with feminism, along with all kinds of things that has just sort of punked recess. We don't have it as much anymore. But the research tells us a different story, and it tells us two important things. One is the brain cannot maintain attention for long periods of time. It requires contrast, such as a new location or novel stimuli, to regain focus. Isn't that interesting? The brain needs something different in order to regain focus. Man, that's just what recess did for me. When I came back in after recess, I was ready to go to work. I was ready to do something new. I felt fresh, ready, and alive. And we'll see in just a minute how different countries around the world are using that very thing to help their students learn. But the other thing science has taught us is, for information to be processed, downtime is needed to recycle chemicals crucial for long-term memory formation. Get the idea? The brain needs downtime, and it needs it physically. in order to give kids a break. Then they can start learning again. Oh gosh, it's interesting to note. As recess has gone down, what's gone up? Try obesity. Has gone up and up. Do you think there's a connection? Yeah, I think there may be. Anyway, so the whole thing is about recess, is about unstructured play and what happens during unstructured play. And the research tells us all kinds of fascinating things about that. One is unstructured play helps kids with their cognitive skills. Wouldn't have expected that, would you? Increased cognitive skills from recess. Interesting, right? The next thing is it shows that kids' social skills improve with recess. I'm sure a lot of you are scratching your head thinking, wait a minute, how could social skills improve? That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And problem solving. Also, they get better. They practice problem solving. Now, I want you to think back to when you were in school and you were looking forward to recess and you get out there, and I don't know about you, but we had like 25 or 30 minutes, so we had to get going. If we were going to play a game, we had to get the rules set, we had to get the sides chosen, and we had to get going, right? That took a lot of cooperation, and it took a lot of leadership on the part of children to monitor their own games and how they're going to do things. Because when research asked kids, what's the difference between recess and physical education? And they all said the same thing. Physical education, people are telling us what to do. But we don't tell kids what to do during recess. So it pushes them to, I remember there was people who would step forward, young kids who would step forward and say, no, forget that rule. Let's just play. And everyone would go, yeah, let's play. And boom, it would happen, right? So leaders stepped forward. Social skills, kids learned how to step forward and take care of things. There's all kinds of good things that happen during recess. And most of us aren't even aware of it. And here's something, we've cut it down farther and farther and farther. Self-regulation is helped by recess. Setting up rules and following rules is helped by recess because they have to do it themselves. Putting limits on some people is another thing. And leadership. All of those things kids learn during recess. We need recess. There was this American teacher who taught in elementary schools here, and she went to Finland, and she got a job teaching elementary schools there. And so she did basically the same thing that she started with here, and that was in the morning, you have a long period of teaching. It was a couple hours, I think. And so she goes this couple of hours, and then this little boy comes up to her desk, and he says, I don't think I'm doing very well. She said, what's the matter? And she looked at him. He had rashes all over his face. The kid was having a lot of trouble, and she goes, oh no. And she had to try and figure out, what's going on? What am I doing wrong? Well, here's what she was doing wrong. In Finland, for every 45 minutes of instruction time, the kids get 15 minutes of unstructured play. 15 minutes every 45 minutes of instruction time. And the teachers then kick the kids out of the classroom. They go outside, rain or shine. They play for 15 minutes. Then they come back in for the next section. It's fascinating, eh? The kids need this to get outside, change. Finland knows this. They've been able to put that into their structure, and they're not the only ones. In Japan, I think it's 40 minutes instruction, 10 minutes off. I think it's Korea has 45 minutes on and 15 minutes off. All of these people are learning how to give kids a chance to reset their brains, to come back in and then recharge them and start teaching again. Fascinating, right? Now I want you to think about those three countries, Finland, Japan, and Korea. What do they have in common? I'll tell you what they have in common. They're all higher on the PISA worldwide studies than we are. The PISA worldwide educational thing is a test they give to 15-year-olds around the world, and then they start comparing the different countries and how they do compared to each other. Finland is in the top 10 in two categories, and I think 11 or 12 in the other one. Japan and Korea are both in the top 10. The United States is 25th, I think 26th in a couple of the categories, and 40th in another. It's like, we're not doing very well. And this is, I think, one small reason why we're not. We're not thinking about our children. are not thinking about what they need. They need this time out. They need to have recess in order to process and start learning again. And we really need to start worrying about that because it's a mess. So we need to start thinking about recess. To heck with the feminism, to heck with the administrators. We need to start focusing on the need for recess because look what's happened. Our schools are about patriarchy theory. They're about indoctrination to certain ways to think. We've got to throw that feminist crap out. We've got to throw it out and start going back to the basics. Reading, writing, arithmetic, and recess. That's the 4 R's, right? Reading, writing, arithmetic, and recess. Our kids need that. And we need to give it to them. So that's all for right now. The next study we're going to look at is going to be a study about playful boys and how they face discrimination in classrooms in the United States. It's a mind-blowing study, and it's going to piss you off just like it pissed me off. But in the meantime, let's not end on a bad note. Men are good, as are you. And like, subscribe, and all that stuff. Come see me on Patreon. We're starting a weekly meeting for all patrons to come in and just check in, see how things are doing, where red-pilled men around the world are starting to check in and get to know each other. So come on and join us, and we'll see you. Men are good, as are you.